Hey, I'm here with Wood Bikes Nielsen. You go by Karl?
Karl Nielsen, yeah.
And I came to pick up my jig here. I had it on loan with Karl, but I thought I would do an interview because he builds bikes too. So good to see you.
Likewise, Steve. I haven't seen you since I picked up the jig.
Yeah. So you build, what types of bikes do you build?
So I've built two now. The first one was a bamboo bike that had more or less success. There was a few issues with it. And then the second bike was a full wooden bike with some carbon fiber parts as well. And I built them using, built the second one with Steve's jig, and the lugs were put together, the joints were put together with carbon fiber. You want to talk more about the carbon fiber?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first step for that process was I used just carbon fiber tow, which is essentially like the string it's a very thin string that they would use in the factory to make a weave. And I just wrapped the carbon fiber tow around the lugs, around the joints to sort of pull them together. And then as I was doing that, I'd put resin down on it. And once I got a good layer of resin and tow down, I would wrap it with electrical tape, which would force everything down even more and get any air bubbles out. And then I would let it set, sand it out, and get a little bit smooth, and then come back and put down carbon fiber weave or biaxial weave, which is a two weave. So you got layers of carbon fiber tow going either way. And then I would press that down and flatten it out and put electrical tape around it, just sort of the same way I did with the carbon fiber tow.
Cool.
So, yeah.
This was your first bike?
That was the bamboo bike.
The bamboo bike.
And then the wood bike, which we can show here in a second, it worked, the way I put the lugs together was pretty much the same process.
Cool.
So.
What got you into building bamboo bikes?
Well, actually, it was Craig Calfee's bamboo bike jig or kit that he sells or sold. So he sells
okay,
it.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wasn't totally sold on it. There was some things I was like, I don't know about this. He uses musu bamboo, which is a really solid, like great bamboo. But the sidewall or the thickness of that bamboo, it's like a half inch or more. It's really thick.
Okay, yeah.
And so I opted to use Tonkin bamboo, which is what they refer to as split rod bamboo, or it's mostly used by fly fishermen, and they actually, or split cane is what they call it. And they split the bamboo and then put it back together and make a tube that way, make a fly rod that way. But the problem with I actually used Tonkin bamboo for my bike, but that did actually split in a couple spots, and I fixed it, but that was one of the errors in the design.
Interesting. Did it have some flex because it was
not
more
too
or less
much?
No?
A little bit in the chainstay, I think, and that actually wasn't bamboo. That was actually ash.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's. You want to take a look at the bike?
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
Okay, great. So this is bike number 2.
This is bike number 2.
Nice.
So this is purple heartwood, and if you look closely in here, we can see there's a carbon fiber layer in between each one, and then the lighter color wood is ash, I believe. And they were steam bent, and then I let them dry for a few days, took them out of their jig, and then laminated them together with the carbon fiber in between.
Cool.
And each piece I probably had to do 2 or 3 times before I got right. As Steve knows, it can take a while to get these things correct.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, seeing this in person is amazing. I've seen pictures of this on your Instagram, but wow, it's a beautiful bike in person. Really nice. Where did you create these? The rear drops yourself, or?
I did not create those myself. Those were made by Normal Bikes, actually. Chris Kudla in Buffalo, New York.
Cool.
Who will be at the Handmade Bicycle Show in Sacramento coming up here in a month or 2. So actually I haven't met him, and we've talked a lot over email, so I'm excited to actually meet him in person.
Nice.
And he this was sort of the Paragon Machine Works design. I think we used their rocker, and then he designed this part that came out in here that could be embedded into the wood.
Wow.
And it's wrapped with carbon fiber on each connection.
So these were designed specifically for these wood dropouts, the wood chainstays and seat stays.
Yes, yeah,
Very
they were.
cool.
They were.
Nice. Wow. Yeah, what a nice looking bike.
I'll show you my biggest error though.
Mm-hmm.
Is I got a little bit cocky in my design tolerances.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get that tire real close to the seat tube.
That's
And then
super
I got
close.
the bike muddy, and I was like, ooh, maybe I should not have gotten that close. That was probably not a great idea.
So sometimes the rocks or something might get in there.
Yeah, that hasn't been a problem yet. But
Yeah.
if bike number 3 definitely will have more space.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And these are your, what do you call these for a wooden bike? The carbon lugs? Or?
Yeah, carbon lugs. And actually, I experimented a little bit with basalt on them, which is a stone. It's a volcanic stone that can be, I believe they crush it and then melt it and pull it, like extrude little fibers like you would fiberglass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very robust material. And it's a little bit alternative to carbon fiber, which some people feel is not as environmentally responsible as basalt.
Ah. Cool. Wow, what an awesome bike. It's huge. If I were standing beside this, like the seat's almost is up to my shoulders.
Yeah, let's do. Can we? Here, I'll take the camera
Okay.
for a second. Yeah. Steve, do you want to ride that bike?
No way. There's no way. I probably could if we got the seat down all the way, but
So this is bike number 1. That's made out of the Tonkin bamboo. And this bamboo is intended for fly rods.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually really expensive because apparently fly fishermen are very particular about their bamboo. But you can see here where it actually split, which is what I was calling. They call it the split
okay.
cane. Or after the material to keep it from splitting anymore. And it's been fine, but it was like, I don't really like that. And that's when I started developing my own wooden tubes to replace that.
cool. So this is essentially your prototype, right?
I didn't think of it as a prototype at the time, but yeah, apparently it was.
Cool. And it looks like the rear pretty much stayed pretty similar to number 2. You got a belt drive on here. Nice.
Yeah, it's a Gates belt drive. I stripped the nut there. I need to replace that. Yeah, it's pretty similar to the bamboo or the wood bike number 2. I did more curves in here. This one was pretty linear. I didn't like that, but other than that, is the basic concept was all the same. Oh, and I did this chainstays were asymmetrical, so this one drops down a little bit to make some clearance for the chain ring.
Oh, nice.
But that didn't actually end up helping much.
It's cool looking though. I'm a big fan of asymmetry. Yeah, look at that. Very cool.
Yeah, this bike, I have to give bamboo or wood in general, like, it has a really different feel. Like, it's just a softer feel. And I would honestly go out on a limb, so to speak. I would go out on a limb to say that I think most bicycles should be built with wood. It just has a better ride, and unless you need a really super lightweight bike, I think wood is a superior material. It rides better. It feels great. It's, you can chop it up and recycle it or compost it when you're done. So I don't think, I think people are going to start to move more towards this, and I'm starting to see more and more wood bikes come out. So I think it'll be a thing.
When you're on the trail, are people like, what is this? Or do they kind of know what they're looking at?
You know what's really funny is when I came out with the bamboo bike, I got so many questions about it. And I think because I didn't do quite as nice a job on it, and people could really tell that it was like a DIY thing.
Yeah.
And then my bike number 2, I did a better job on it. And I don't think people understood or do understand that it's a DIY thing. So almost no one ever asked me anything about it. But the bamboo bike, people ask all the time about it.
All right. Here we are in Karl's shop.
The tiny shop, the little shop. First, I start with little strips of wood that I cut on the bandsaw. and they're about 1/8 of an inch. And I would take a hardwood like Purple Heart or ash, and then I would laminate it with a piece of carbon fiber, biaxial carbon fiber like that, with Sitka spruce on the inside, and that would make I'd make basically just boards like this, and then I would glue them together to make a circle, kind of like that little piece.
Cool.
I don't know if you can see it super well.
Yeah.
And then I would take that tube, and this would be the end version of it. But before it was complete, it would be much rougher, and I would put it on the lathe.
Oh, you got a lathe in here.
Lathe in here, and it would get spun on the lathe with a router that's on a track here, and the router would come along and clean it all up.
Nice.
Yeah, the actual building of the bike is easy. The building all the jigs and tools to build the bike was the hard part.
I know that from experience.
Yeah.
So this is how you got this nice, really smooth
finish
on there.
The perfect curve to it.
It is super smooth.
It's perfectly round.
Wow. Nice.
And then I'll show you the jigs real quick. I drew the jigs up, or the curves that I wanted on the seat stay and the chain stay. I drew them up in SketchUp, and then exported a file to have them laser cut, and I had a little template cut out, and then I just repeated that template and built it up and made my jigs. And this is how I've been steam bending. First I put the pieces in wet and hot, steam them, and then clamp it down as tight as I can get it, let it sit for a day or two, come back, make sure it's dry. If it's dry, put the resin in there and the carbon fiber in between each layer, and then clamp them down.
Cool. About how many days does that take to dry?
Depends mostly on the weather. Usually 2 or 3 days is about right.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Cool. And were these the first try at making a jig, or did you have another iteration that you had to go through? Or
Yeah, I can. Here, I'll give you the ugly one. These are the ones I did for the bamboo bike.
Okay.
They're not. They're hideous.
So you need to make custom ones for each bike, or could you possibly reuse these guys over here?
Yeah, I think these ones I put a little more thought and design into them, and I'm hoping that I can use these for a variety of bicycles, because there's some flexibility in what they can do. And I just made them a little bit longer, so there's some room for different types of bikes out of them.
Cool. Hey Karl, thanks for showing us your bikes and showing us your shop. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for loaning me your jig for 6 months. I think.
Yes. No worries.
I thought I would need it for like a week or two. 3 months later, I was still working on my bike.
Awesome. Well, it was well worth it. So yeah, really beautiful looking bike. Thanks, Karl.
Thanks, Steve.